Napansin mo ba? Mas madalas ka nang magsabi ng stay safe kesa bye-bye. At aminin mo, nawili ka sa TikTok hindi para mapasaya ang sarili, kundi para mapatawang iba. Napansin mo rin ba na palagi na kayong kumpleto pag nagsisimba? At sino mag-aakala na ang daming maglalabas ang internet celebrities ngayon? Ilang pagkain na bang na-order mo? Kahit di ka naman gutom, uhaw ka lang makatulong. At nakailang care emojis ka nang nasend mula ng ECQ. Pansin mo, iba na bigla ang go-to playlist mo. Alam mo rin bang mas maraming naglalabas ng pera ngayon? Kahit taghirap? Alam mo kung bakit? Kasi patuloy mang magbago ang mundo, isang bagay ang mananatili.
Malalampasan din natin to.
Hindi tayo mawawalan ng pag-asa. Kaya patuloy namin pinapanatiling pinakamabilis at pinakamalawak ang inyong network. So we can all be connected by hope.
Okay, good morning and welcome to Business Mirror's first coffee club session for 2023, where we will discuss the latest and hottest news items. I am Anne Ruth de la Cruz, Business Mirror's Special Projects Editor. Today we will be talking about the SIM Card Registration Act. I am sure most of you have already registered your SIM cards. Am I correct? If you haven't done so, tell us in the comment section why. And please feel free to ask our guests about the registration process. We are very honored and privileged to have with us here this morning two very lovely ladies who will tackle the topic of SIM card registration. Let me first welcome our first guest. She was a news anchor and managing editor of the ABS-CBN News Channel. As Group Head of Corporate Communications, our guest oversees the communication needs of the broader MVP group of companies, of which PLDT is part. Let us all welcome Miss Cathy Yan, the first
Hi,
Vice
Anne. Good to be
President
back.
of PLDT.
And a very
Yes,
good morning and a happy new year.
thank you for thank you for being with us again, Miss Cathy.
So
And
you're most
later
welcome.
on,
Thank you for inviting.
yes, thank you. And later on, the DICT Undersecretary, Anna Mayu Lamentillo, will be joining us. She's just winding down a news briefing at the moment. Okay, so Miss Cathy, can you give us an update of your SIM card registration there at Smart?
Yes, it's a very busy day, Anne, and you've
Uh-huh.
caught us at the perfect time. Things
Okay.
are just hotting up right now,
Mm-hmm,
and we do
mm-hmm.
have some breaking news to share. As you know, this is the first of the 3-day nationwide assistant SIM registration activity led by the
Okay.
NTC. Reason why our other guest, the USEC Anime, is pretty busy with the NTC press conference. But I do have some good news to share, just hot off the oven, if you will, and I have
Okay.
some slides to show as it's a very visual presentation. We have already hit 12,444,146. That is the
Wow.
total number of registrants for both
Mm.
Smart and TNT subscribers. So we've
Okay.
already crossed over about 17.8% of our total subscriber base. And so we've successfully registered over 12.4 million out of
Mm-hmm.
70 million, because we
Okay.
have that as our subscriber base, 70 million, of which 67 million are prepaid and 3 million postpaid. So we're averaging between 400,000 to 500,000 SIM registrations per day. Next
Okay.
slide, please. I just wanted to show a bit of a quick how-to, as our viewers and listeners and streamers might still be wondering how. There's two ways. If you're a prepaid subscriber, you just click into smart.com.ph/simreg. You key in your information and then wait for a confirmation. That's going to be a quick turnaround there, so just patiently wait. For the postpaid subscribers, as you can see on your screen on the rightmost side of the screen, you just
Mhm.
text yes to 5858 and wait for the same confirmation. And that yes response means that you are giving Smart as well as TNT the permission to use the data and information that we have in our system for registering your SIMs. So this
Mhm.
process aligns with our existing data privacy laws, where we value and respect our subscribers' personal data. Next
Okay.
slide, please. I just wanted to show you a bit of a visual here, and this is NCR. Since the launch of the SIM registration process last December
Mhm.
27th, Smart
Okay.
and PNP have taken up the lead in the industry, setting up these assisted SIM registration booths and stores in markets, terminals,
Mhm.
schools, government offices, and other locations accessible to the public across the Philippines. So wherever you find great foot traffic, we're going to be
Mhm.
there, and we are there, especially in the NCR, done in collaboration. And that's a reason why we got to set up these assisted booths.
Mhm.
It's because it was done in collaboration with the local government units, partner stores, and regional as well as provincial distributors. These booths and touch points are meant to fast track the SIM registration process. Next
Okay.
slide, please. These are also how we've set up in booths and touch points in the National Capital Region. It's the full list, and you can find it on our social media site. We're continually and progressively updating it because the rollout is still ongoing until
Mm-hmm.
April 26th, because that is the mandated deadline for us by the government. You
Yes.
can find us
Mm-hmm.
in Caloocan, Las Piñas, Makati, Malabon, Mandaluyong, Manila, Marikina, Muntinlupa, Parañaque, Pasay, Pasig, Pateros, Quezon City, and Valenzuela. Next slide, please. Let's go to the wider spread of Luzon. These are where we're set up in Luzon. We're in Occidental Mindoro, Naga City Hall, Laguna, Batangas Provincial Capital. Next slide, please. Over in Baguio, where, as you know, connectivity is a challenge because it's a mountainous terrain in the Cordillera Administrative Region, we've set up our booth at the Baguio Public Market on the launch date itself of SIM registration on December 27th. And we've since added more setups in areas where our subscribers need our help, such as in Abra and Benguet. Next slide, please. If you look at North Central Luzon, that's the wider expanse there. Those needing assistance may also find us in Bataan, Cagayan, Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, Isabela, Kalinga, La Union, and Nueva Ecija. If you look at the next slide in southern Luzon and Bicol, our setups can also be found in places like Albay, Camarines Sur, Cavite, Marinduque, and Masbate. Let's move on to the Visayas because we've got everybody covered here. We're a nationwide service. We've got you covered in Caticlan Airport, if you've been there recently, and TC Regional 7 Office, Samar. And then in Iloilo in particular, if you look at the next slide, it's been a first mover, and we really have to thank Iloilo for just being so cooperative. We've been able to set up there very quickly enough in at least 84 priority areas, in large part because of that coordination that I mentioned at the start of our conversation with the local government units, the partner stores, the local malls, provincial and regional distributors, just helping us set up even to the barangay level where it matters the most. And over in Mindanao, we've collaborated early on with our local government unit partners in Davao region. Reason for the early setup there, specifically in Davao de Oro and Davao Oriental. And we've since set up more, so you can see on your screen on the next slide, in Agusan del Norte, Agusan del Sur, Bukidnon, Butuan City, Cagayan de Oro City, General Santos, Misamis Occidental, North and South Cotabato, Sultan Kudarat, Surigao del Norte, Surigao del Sur, Zamboanga City, Zamboanga del Norte, and Zamboanga Sibugay. Now, I'd like to show you here where we're pouring our energies right now in the next slide. These are the remote areas that the NTC, DITO, DILG, and other agency members of the interagency committee identified as needing assistance from all telco players. So we're taking back part in that simultaneous nationwide SIM registration happening right now as we speak, from today until January 27. And you can find us in these areas. This is aligned with our commitment not to leave anyone behind in the SIM registration. You can find us in Pasquin, Ilocos Norte, Cebu, Mualbual, Palo Leyte, Pangantukan, Bukidnon, Malalag, Davao del Sur, Atok, Benguet, Camalaniugan, Cagayan, Kalumpit, Bulacan, Rosario, Batangas, City of Zamboanga, Zamboanga del Sur, Baco, Oriental Mindoro, City of Ligao, Albay, Lemery, Iloilo, Arakan, Cotabato, Tagbina, Surigao del Sur. So this is where we've been able to confirm our concerned BARM agencies, where we'll be setting up and have identified just over the past hour. And this is also breaking news. We've got Datu Sinsuat Maguindanao for today. We're setting up today in Datu Sinsuat. And then for tomorrow, we will be in Lamitan Basilan Public Market. And on January 27, we will be in Bongao, Tawi-Tawi. On January 27, that's the final of this 3-day nationwide simultaneous SIM registration. I had to cite all these areas, and I thank you for the patience for listening, because it's just so important for all the listeners and streamers out there who are subscribers of TNT and Smart, that you've got help. We've got your back. it may be a challenge for some to get registered, but there is help, and we're bridging that gap between the technology
Mhm.
and the consumer, just to ensure that it's just as seamless as somebody who's had it easy registering. And just some final fresh photos I wanted to show you just earlier on. Those were the latest that we have. I just wanted to cite, just before I wrap up, this very important slide here. Just goes to show the reason why we support SIM registration, because it really aligns with our advocacy at Smart and TNT, that
Mhm.
customer protection for both adults and children online uh, prevent scammers and
Okay.
predators from pursuing mobile phone aided crimes.
Mhm.
They're a serious matter to us, as it is for the government. So we advocate for this whole of nation approach. Just as you've seen us set those up so quickly across the country,
Yeah.
it's because we received a lot of help from the LGUs. We also reached out to them and our on ground partners to keep us and our loved ones safe online. So we
Mhm.
need our subscribers right now to do their part and register now and keep our online spaces safe. So it's a two-way street, and we can't do it alone. We
Yes.
also need our
Yes.
subscribers' help. And we've got
Mhm.
about 17.3% who say we have registered. So we're
Mhm.
hoping that the balance would do so before April 26th.
Okay. Okay. Miss Cathy, how about PLDT? Di ba PLDT also have these SIM
Yes, they do.
cards? Yes.
That's
How about,
correct. That would be for the
yes.
PLDT Plus. If
Uh-huh.
you are a customer of the PLDT Landline Plus, we
Uh-huh.
are trying to find the solution for that, because
Uh-huh.
it's quite complicated. So
Mhm.
if you would tune back to our social media sites, we will give a solution by the end of this month. That is the promise
Okay.
of our smart and PLDT colleagues in the back end, that we will find a solution for the SIM-enabled PLDT Landline Plus.
Okay, because I have a friend who is one of your subscribers there, and she wanted to find out kung ano yung balita
Okay,
tungkol dyan.
I will let you know as soon as I have an answer for that. But thank you for the
Yes.
reminder.
Okay, thank you, Miss Kath. Did you uh, encounter any complaints during the registration process?
Yeah, you know what? I think this
Mhm.
was let's go back and trace the first day, because
Yes, yes, the first
admittedly
day.
these are all birth pains. I mean,
Mhm.
all telcos just experienced it, and in particular for us, the birth pain had been that there was just a huge turnout of registrants
Yeah.
at 7 a.m. Manila time.
Uh-huh.
We launched the portal, the SIM registration portal I mentioned earlier, at about 6:20. In 40
Oh.
minutes, that spiked. So you can just imagine the kind of capacity we needed for the portal on the very first few hours. So what
Uh-huh,
our
uh-huh.
back end team did was to increase capacity in order to
Mm-hmm.
get past the registrants' numbers and ensure that they're able to capture everyone at the same time. We've been
Mm-hmm.
able to solve that in about 3 to 4 hours. So by about noon, we were able to get the SIM registration portal going. And
Mm-hmm.
since then, we've been as seamless as we can, because on a daily basis, and I keep checking with the back end, the team has been working very hard to continuously optimize the platform. So what does that mean? That
Mm-hmm.
means that if a person does register through our portal,
Mm-hmm.
they would be able to receive the confirmation quickly, because that
Okay.
would mean that the turnaround time is as quick as maybe the blink of an eye. That
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
the ideal,
Mm-hmm.
because there is in the back end a matching of the SIM
Yeah.
number on your
Uh-huh.
SIM card
Uh-huh.
and your mobile number. And
Oh,
that's a
okay.
tough act in the
Mm-hmm.
back end. But our team from Smart are able to find ways every single day to optimize that and ensure that the gap between the waiting period for the customer as soon as he or she presses send is
Mm-hmm.
short and fast. That's why we're able to increase what we call the velocity of the increase in registrants. If you've
Mm-hmm.
noticed and if you've followed our art cards every day, the
Mm-hmm.
increase has been enormous. What I just shown you is a jump of about 400 and 500,000 per day. And we
Mm-hmm.
were just working on maybe a jump of a few thousands, and it's already ballooned to
Mm-hmm.
hundreds of thousands. And we're already hitting the 30th day today of the
Yeah.
SIM registration process. So
Okay.
it's really more about inquiries, just like your
Mm-hmm.
friend.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Yes.
valid inquiry in my last TV interview. That was also asked, and
Uh-huh,
that
uh-huh.
is also the answer that I gave. So it's more inquiries about how to get it
Yes,
done
how to
and
get it
where do
done.
we go. Yes, and specific questions about what if I'm overseas, and
Mm-hmm.
these are all. In our FAQs, but it really helps, to hear back from our customers because that's the only way that we can refine the way
Mm-hmm.
we answer their queries. Because even we are doing this for the first time,
Yes,
so
yes.
we encourage everyone to send us your queries or your experience. I'd love to hear about the experience, bad or good. I mean, we're not a perfect a setup here, but we can only be perfect for us as long as you give us your feedback.
Okay. And then what sort of measures have you undertaken to ensure that the data that the describers has shared with you is secure?
Okay, there are different ways
Mm-hmm.
to ensure that, and it was already something that the team had considered early on. And the first one is in the acronym of the OCR. This is the optical character registration. The OCR allows the customer to have that assurance that
Mm-hmm.
every time he or she inputs the data, which
Uh-huh.
goes into the portal, that is protected through that technology
Okay.
to ensure that when it gets to the portal, it's secure. Now, I asked the backend folks again about how secure that portal
Yeah.
is, and they
Uh-huh.
have assured me that it is encrypted. So they can assure that our information there is safe, secure, and encrypted. Now,
Mm-hmm.
on the front end, smart store sales personnel, let's say you've had an issue, you wanted to have someone help you with your registration, even for TNT customers, we did give the assurance that if for instance, they're unable to use their device and use
Uh,
the store's device,
mhm.
then they can. And the smart personnel will use their device in the store to input the data. But what is very clear is, and this is what we want to communicate to everyone, the data that you input on our device goes straight to the portal. Nothing is
Mhm.
kept on the phone. And that's an assurance we can make that your data is safe in the portal and not with the device, which may get lost or
Yeah.
maybe pilfered. Anything could happen. So that's
Mhm.
the other assurance that we can give, that we are protecting our people's data and information. And if you noticed in that slide, I said yung may yes, yung
Mhm,
matamis na
mhm.
oo, that's not just
Yes.
for fun. It's because
Uh-huh.
of data privacy laws that we want to comply with, that we
Uh-huh.
don't want to assume that the subscriber is okay for us to use the data and information that they already have in the system. Being a postpaid subscriber, we'd want to let them know first if it's okay to use
Mhm.
that very same set of information to register them for their SIM. So that's a permission that we get first
Oh,
and
okay.
ensure their data privacy. On the part of
Mhm.
the subscriber, if I may add, it is also the onus is on them to protect their own data,
Mhm.
because if they, for instance, allow themselves to get scammed,
Mhm.
because as you know, the scammers have proliferated, those who have said you can pay me a fee and I'll help you register.
Yeah.
No such thing. That's a
Uh,
big scam, and we
uh,
want to put a stop to that. If you hear about that,
uh,
hashtag us, hashtag NTC, and we'll do something about it together, because that's not right.
mhm.
What can be done is that the subscriber would be able to protect their own data by ensuring they know who they're giving their data to. Maybe
Mhm.
their kamag-anak, patulong naman, okay yan. Pero wag naman ibigay doon sa naniningil kasi bawal yun.
Oo, bawal maningil. Okay. I'm just, we already have received quite a number of questions. I just have to go through them. If I can get my mouse to work. I can't get my mouse to work. Okay, here we go. And ikaw nang bahala mag-flash. I can't seem to flash. There. Here's a question. What about for minors without national ID, etc.? Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Neil, for the question. For minors, minors are considered below 18. So
Yeah.
if you're below 18, and in the spirit of data privacy, the law, the SIM Registration Act, um, gives protection to minors,
Uh-huh.
meaning they're not allowed to register their SIMs with their information. Not yet, not yet. Consider it a birthday gift. If they reach 18, then that's okay. But if,
Uh-huh.
for instance, you're 17 and below, you have to have mommy, daddy, or your guardian sign up for you, sign into the portal with their own information, with an
Mhm.
adult's information. But not to worry, not to be saddened. By the time you reach 18, you can go to any of our stores and have a transfer of information take place in the store and consider that your birthday gift. So for the menor de
Okay.
edad, hindi pa po pwede. We cannot have them register because of that spirit of the data privacy law that we're trying
Uh-huh.
to uphold. As for the other question, without the national ID, that's fine. There are 17 other IDs that have a photo,
Mhm.
and that's already been cleared by the SIM Registration Act itself. I
Mhm.
can name a couple off the top of my head. That would be the passport, driver's ID,
Mhm.
BIR, SSS, the universal ID, even a firearms license, PRC ID, um, barangay ID, school ID,
Okay, so pwede
if
rin.
you are 18 and
18 na.
above. So these are just some of the government IDs that you can use if you do
Uh-huh.
not have a national ID. Just make sure, Neil, that the photo in the ID or the ID itself is clear and
Mhm.
that you're able to photograph in an area where there's bright light. Because sometimes the camera, the portal capturing the
Uh-huh.
picture won't allow it if it is a bit grainy. Same with the selfie photo. So just make sure you're in a clear, well lit place when you take your photograph.
Okay. Yan. From Edwin Salyan, do we only need to register our SIM once? No expiration?
Correct. For the first, yes, no ex. For the first SIM, only once, yes, unless you purchase another SIM, then
Mm.
you have to register that. It's okay. You may actually purchase any number of SIMs. If you want to buy all our SIMs, that's fine. Thank you for the business. But here's the thing, Anne and
Uh-huh.
you can't register with false information because the
Uh-huh.
law penalizes those who say false information. So that would mean at least 6 months to 2 years of imprisonment.
Mhm.
At worst, 600,000. I believe 300,000 of a fine. So
Uh-huh.
you can register your SIM uh, once.
Uh-huh.
If you just have one, if you have many, yes, you can with the same information.
Mhm.
For expiration, I encourage you to keep using your SIM because if you don't, then it becomes inactive. So that's one of the things that we'd
Mhm.
like to keep our customers doing so that at least it is kept active.
Okay. Will you be able to determine the validity of the information that the SIM users register? Is that possible? Yeah. Do you screen data sent to you if legit?
Screen data, that's a good question.
Mm-mm.
The law itself provides for a verification process, and that's the reason why, and this is where the contentious part comes, is because why
Mhm.
do we need the selfie ID? Why do
Yeah.
we need the government ID? I already have both, and it's a bit tedious, but that's because it self-reinforces.
Mhm.
The selfie ID says that, verifies that who it is you who's registering,
Mhm.
and your government ID would reconfirm that. Now, the part about the government ID is that not all government IDs have good data tracking, admittedly. And
Mhm.
I mean, that's been a problem. So
Mhm.
the selfie photo captures that and ensures that if they're not able to data track as far back with the government ID that you gave, your selfie ID
Mhm.
will match. So this is as far as we get. Your honesty counts, and besides, you're going to get imprisoned or you're going to get
Yeah.
fined if you tell a
Uh-huh.
lie.
Uh-huh.
But that's okay. If, for instance, you made a mistake, that's okay. Keep registering, but you have to go to the store to have your information updated quickly
Mhm.
so that they won't think that you did it on purpose.
Yeah. Okay. So they don't get suspicious. Okay. Ano pa? Yan. In some countries, requiring SIM card registration resulted in the emergence of black markets for unregistered SIM cards and a rise in identity fraud. What is your take on this?
Yes, it happens. It does. I mean, it's
Mm.
just market forces, right? I've done some readings, and there's about, if I'm not mistaken, at least 160 national governments globally that require the mandatory SIM card registration.
Mhm.
Comparitech, for instance, mentions around 30 requiring biometrics, such as
Oh,
fingerprints or a facial
okay.
scan. And even before the SIM registration became a law, we've looked at least 86 countries and studied the best global practices and technology solutions. So it is true that
Mhm.
yes, a black market can arise because of the SIM registration process, but at the same time, we're also reinforcing the fact that you gotta be who you are. When you register your SIM, you are who you say you are, and that you're responsible for the use of that SIM. And
Mhm.
that's what we're trying to do. There are negatives on the side, but what really jumps out and really makes us sure that we're doing the right thing is that we're trying to protect you as a consumer, as an adult consumer, not to get scammed. And as a child, if you have children at home, if you have pamangkins, nephews,
Mhm.
nieces, you care about them and what they see online, they too will be
Yes.
protected. By registering your SIM, there's a lot more responsibility on the part of the registrant. So that is what we're seeing is the good thing about SIM registration more than the black market that might ensue. You might just be interested, just to give others a snapshot. I've made a mention of the Philippines offering as many SIMs as you want. You can buy as many SIMs, but you just got to register them with authentic information and data. Other countries like Singapore, they offer the lowest number of SIM cards allowed for citizens. It's just three
Mhm.
per person. But they carry prison sentences for those buying and registering SIM cards under false names. And when you look at Nigeria and China, they don't subject citizens to a limit on the number of SIM cards, just like
Mhm.
us. But they
Yes, yes.
instead require facial scans and images during the registration process. And there's also imprisonment for those found fraudulently using their SIM cards. So
Mhm.
facial scans are happening in Myanmar and Singapore. Thailand also accepts a facial scan as an alternative to fingerprint scanning. For both Bahrain and Tajikistan, this is very interesting. They require extensive biometric data upon registration. I'm sure mas maraming reklamo doon. But the only penalty is that deactivation is the only penalty for not complying with the regulation. So these
Mhm.
countries have different reasons as to why they've implemented SIM registration. It could be reasons of sovereignty,
Mhm.
reasons of security, improving customer experience. But for us at Smart, we feel strongly for SIM registration because that's our advocacy. It's really centered on customer protection. We just want to propagate safe spaces online, and SIM
Mhm.
registration is a further deterrent to that campaign against scammers and predators online. I mean, and we've already done a lot of blocking. I'm
Yeah.
sure you've caught that in the news, all the bad actors, but as the technology
Yes.
evolves, so do they. I mean, the criminal
Mhm.
activities
Mhm.
online just want to keep ahead of us, so we want to keep
That's
ahead of
true.
them. So
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
can just see the magnanimity of the challenge. I'll give you some data here. I mean, we've invested 3 billion pesos for our cybersecurity infrastructure in the past few years just to guard
Wow.
against the emerging cyber threats, the
Mhm.
vulnerabilities and criminal activities. And we've blocked 1.3 billion attempts to access child abuse links, and also
Wow.
blocked 17 billion attempts to open
Wow.
malicious domains. That's billion. So we
Yeah.
think that alongside these and with SIM registration, we're just all keeping ourselves one step ahead of these bad actors. Not a
Mhm.
silver
Mhm.
bullet, but SIM registration is just another deterrent to keep our kids safe from the predators, and us adults from getting scammed online.
Yes. Yes. As my Sandico said, it's about time we have this. There are a lot of scammers using different SIM cards,
That's
which
true.
is
And
true.
there
Yeah.
are reports that they've started to just kind of flake away. But at the same time, new scammers have arisen. As I mentioned
Yes.
earlier, they've tried
Yes.
to find a way to game the system
Uh-huh.
by charging folks a fee. So I'm discouraging everybody to actually pay a fee. It's all for free. Registration is free, and so is getting assistance, the right assistance with the right people for SIM registration.
Okay. And I also noticed before the SIM registration, I used to receive about what, 10 messages about inviting me to bet. They think I'm a gambler. So they invite me to click this link and place my bets. But now I receive about one or not, one in a span of 2 or 3 days. So I think it's really working.
I'm glad
Just
it's working for you, Anne, because
yes, it
when you come
is.
to think of it, and I did come from that press briefing from the NTC, there
Uh-huh.
had been the same question along those lines,
Yeah.
and the response of NTC is, since the registration is still ongoing,
Yeah.
the scamming still is ongoing
Mhm.
as well. Whatever we've been
Yeah.
receiving, we're still getting. It's just that I think there's more awareness right now that's also helping,
Mhm.
and that is really going to help as well. Empower folks as we get into the finish of sim registration, then we can be assured that at the very least it can be controlled. Again, not a
Uh-huh.
silver bullet, but at
Yeah.
least it can be controlled. We don't know what the next technology will be or
Mhm,
evolution
mhm.
of the scamming will be, but this keeps us one step ahead.
Okay. So this is related to what I said, no? What are your current actions to the number of complaints on spam messages where the subscribers' names are in it? So that's what I asked earlier. There's another
Yes, we just
question.
encourage everyone to just put it in their spam folder, block it. That's the number one, and report
Mhm.
it. If it's been so frequent and you're seeing it maybe on Facebook, just hashtag us. We typically collect everything and then give it to NTC. You can also hashtag NTC.
Okay. I saw, Yan. How about farmers and fishermen in the remote areas? Not everyone uses Android, iOS phones to have selfies for the registration. Oh nga
That's
naman.
true. That's fine.
Yes.
That's okay. We'll work with 2G, 3G. That's fine as long as they're SIM enabled. Allow your farmer friend to go to our booths, to our setup.
Uh-huh.
Presumably, they're probably in these remote areas that I cited earlier.
Mhm.
Hopefully, somebody can bring them along, or maybe they know how to get to the public market, because we're mostly in public markets. If you notice the
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
pictures that I showed earlier, those are
Yes.
fresh photos, either from the public markets or the municipal hall. They can find us there and ask for help. 2G, 3G are also SIM enabled, and they have to be registered. So there is help, and help is
Yeah.
coming over the next 2 days. We're also going in the areas that I mentioned. So it's going
Uh-huh.
to
Uh-huh.
be another five setups on day two, and then day three, another five. So it's a total of 15 as mandated by the NTC.
Okay, so here's a question from Aldwin. What are the challenges in going to remote areas? And how do you address these challenges? I can just imagine how many people you've already deployed
Yes.
for that, huh?
That's true. Well, I'll put the challenge into an acronym. It's called GIDCA. GIDCA, and
Okay.
that is the official term that our government partners are also using. It's the geographically isolated and disadvantaged and conflict afflicted areas. Now,
Uh-huh.
when we first got into this, the government wanted to just bundle it up as the next phase of maybe the help needed for
Uh-huh.
customers.
Uh-huh.
But they realized that the CA in GIDCA was a little bit more difficult. The conflict afflicted areas has to be coordinated with the PNP and the AFP because it requires security. It
Uh-huh.
requires protection of our personnel, of personnel from other telco players to just go in and pick the right spot, a safe spot for everybody to sim register. We don't want any casualties. Let's say
Mhm.
it's highly conflict afflicted area. But for the geographically isolated, we found a solution, and those are the pictures that I've shown.
Uh-huh.
Of the 15 areas that we're going to go to, they are geographically isolated and disadvantaged. So consider it perhaps the first phase of this simultaneous nationwide registration that the government's doing with us. They'll have another one that would
Mhm.
be in the conflict afflicted areas. But I do have to say that in BARM, that had also been another challenge because, as you know, BARM is separate from whatever
Mhm.
it does. It has its own BARM Telecommunications Commission. Very interesting. The NTC
Okay.
has had to have separate discussions with them, and we've been able to confirm in the past 2 hours that we will be setting up all telco players, because this is still part of the nationwide SIM registration process in Datu Odin Sinsuat, in Lamitan, and Bongao. So these are very important developments, because consider it the last mile. I mean, when the registrants, come to a head, and it becomes probably 80% registered, consider
Mhm.
that last mile the most difficult, because they're the
Mhm, mhm.
ones probably
Yeah.
whom we have not yet reached, and
Uh-huh.
we're going to try to reach before the mandated deadline.
Okay. Yeah. Well, will telcos pass on additional costs to customers given that the registration process falls on their shoulders?
That's a good question. I think it's already built in. It is a
Okay.
law. So
Uh-huh.
it is a business case that we have
Uh-huh.
already budgeted for. So rather than a cost, we consider it an opportunity, because it
Uh-huh.
also makes us ensure that the investment that we did for cybersecurity alone, that's in the billions.
Uh-huh.
That's the payback, because we're going to get to protect our customers more, and they'll enjoy using our service more, because your SIMs are protected, are registered.
Mhm, mhm. Okay. Here we are. What will be the liability of the telcos and the government when our information gets leaked from Safina?
That is a very good question. We wouldn't want to
Yeah.
think about the scenario, but it does happen. It does,
Uh-huh.
and there have been a lot of telcos overseas that have fallen prey to
Mm-hmm.
these leaks. But I do have to defer to my legal and regulatory teammates for the details on the liabilities, because medyo masalimuot. But
Mm-hmm.
then it is a possibility, and it does happen. Fortunately, it hasn't happened to us. So hopefully, also the SIM registration wouldn't be a cause for that to happen.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Uh, Here, yeah. How about the tourists and foreigners? Foreigners, do
Yeah,
they
they
need to
can. They can
register? Di ba?
definitely register, and they have to. Even though if they're spending like 2 weeks or maybe 3 days and they wanted to buy a SIM, when they buy the SIM, it's going to be in deactivated mode. So they really have to
Uh-huh.
register their
Okay.
SIM. So for the tourists staying here for less than 30 days, let's give it less
Uh-huh.
than 30 days, because 30 days is something else. Less than 30 days, you gotta register your SIM. You have to provide us your plane ticket and your date of exit. And you also
Oh,
have to
okay.
provide us your details and your
Uh-huh.
nationality, most importantly. But if you intend to stay more than 30 days, then you have to
Uh-huh.
submit to us the approval of the extension permit, along with the return ticket, the revised return ticket, because that is what's said in the law. If you're an alien employee, you have an alien employment certificate, that is an important document that you must submit, because you're a person who's living here and working here. You have to
Uh-huh.
submit that as well, and say what your nationality is. Now, the thing about tourists is, and we do encourage all the tourists there to protect the SIMs that they register, and not to think about giving it to maybe a friend. I mean, out of a good heart, maybe, I
Yes,
still
yes,
got the
yes.
SIM. I'd like to
Yeah,
share
yeah.
this with you. I'm not coming back to this country. Please don't, because whatever
Okay.
happens to that sim is your responsibility, because all the information is under your name, the
Uh-huh.
tourist's name. So that responsibility, the onus is on you to protect your sim as you protect your own identity. So do not give that sim away. Carry it with you. It will just be deactivated if not used. But we do have to let them register, whether you're a tourist or a foreigner working here.
Okay. It's very strict pala for the foreigners.
It's quite
Yeah.
strict, but
Uh-huh.
it's the same law that a lot of foreigners face as well. If we go to other countries,
Uh-huh.
and if we want to also buy a sim, then we also have to do the same.
Yeah. And what if I lose my SIM card? Do I need to report it?
Yes, definitely. And you have to report it quickly enough to our hotline. We do have a hotline. It's asterisk 888.
Ah, okay.
And you have to let us know you've lost it. And that's not a problem. what our personnel will do next is block it. So that's the very first thing you do. You call immediately. They will block it, and then you have to go to the store because we'll give you a new SIM for free. And guess what? The new SIM will have your same number. It's
Uh-huh.
not going to change. But that doesn't mean that you can lose any of your SIMs. Even though it's free, we still encourage you to keep it as safe as possible. But there is the recourse of getting back your number as well as your SIM quickly. But just please block it immediately. All the more now that all the information and data stored there, you just have to protect it as you protect your own wallet.
Okay. Oh, here's some from Miss Maya. Miss Cathy, your presentations have always been amazing and very informative. Thank
Oh,
you, and
thank you,
thank you,
Maya.
Mrs. Miller.
Thank you. We had to squish it because we're only given a few minutes, but I'd love to show you maybe in another opportunity. There will be press conferences for sure where we're able to present, but really we just wanted to show that we're out there. We've got your backs. We've set up these booths and touch points, and
Mhm.
I appreciate the patience. Having to read the list is quite long, but I know it will impact
It will
every
help.
single listener here and
Mhm.
streamer who are from those areas or have families in those areas.
Okay. Oh, Miss Cathy, do you think the registration deadline should be extended beyond April 16th? Was it? No? You
Well,
still
I'm not a
still need to.
regulator to say that it can be extended, but really, being under the regulation of
Uh-huh.
the agency, the National Telecommunications Commission, we have to follow. And the
Okay.
strict deadline given to us is April 26th. So even we are in a rush to get everybody in. So I'd
Uh-huh.
like to encourage everyone on this call and live stream to register now. Help us get the numbers done and get us up to 70 million
Okay.
subscribers registered.
Okay, then there's a question there about the GOMO users. What will happen to them? Tama ba? The
Oh, Gomo
GOMO?
is from our rival product.
Yeah.
But then there is a notation that the NTC made during our cascade session with LGU executives just about a week ago, exactly a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
All SIM enabled devices have to be registered. There are no exceptions. And this is the answer given by Attorney Ella Lopez of NTC when asked.
Okay, looks like Yusek Ana won't be able to join us na, no? Pasok na siya? Ah, okay, I was told na papasok na yata na si Yusek. Papasok na daw po yata si Yusek Ana.
Okay.
Oh, there she is. I see her na. Oh, there she is. Uh, Ed, please. There. Good morning, Yusek.
Good morning. I'd really like to apologize for being late. There was a press briefing on the SIM registration that just concluded now.
Oh, it's okay, Miss. It's okay, ma'am. Can you give us an update of what you reported earlier in your press con?
The SIM registration, the rollout of SIM registration in remote areas started today.
Mm-hmm.
We have identified 15 pilot sites.
Okay.
Um, we have identified 15 pilot sites, and we have already started with the rollout as of 9 a.m. today. So I think that's something that's new. So we're now in
Uh-huh.
Ilocos Norte, in Pasukin, Ilocos Norte, in Moalboal, Cebu, Palolete, Pangantukan, Bukidnon, Malalag, Davao del Sur. And
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow we will be in Benguet, Cagayan, Bulacan, Batangas, Zamboanga del Sur. And for
Mm-hmm.
the third day, we'll be in Baco Oriental, Mindoro, Ligao Albay, Carles Iloilo, Aracan, Cotabato, and Tagbina, Surigao del Sur.
Mm-hmm. So how did you identify which areas you will be in, Yusek?
Ito po is part of an interagency task force. This
Okay.
is with the telcos also, and
Mm-hmm.
with other national government agencies like the ILG, um, the Department of Justice, the Department of Education, Armed Forces of the Philippines, among other national agencies.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yusek, can you tell us why we have to register our SIM? What sort of scams? has been prevalent that forced our lawmakers to come up with this act, and then now we're doing the SIM registration now. Is it very
Um,
rampant? Yeah.
I
Meron po
think
kayong data?
wala yatang exemption pagdating po
Ah,
dito, 'di ba? I think dito po sa ating tatlo, we've all been receiving a lot of text
yes.
messaging scams. And in
Uh-huh.
phone-related scams, the potential victims receive a message, a phone call, or an email, often copying a legitimate format of text or email,
Mm-hmm.
indicating that suspicious activity has taken place in a credit card account, bank account,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
mortgage account, and other financial service, or telling that they won a raffle or a promo in their particular name. I guess ito rin po yung ginagamit for kidnapping, for example, and in a lot of areas in armed conflicts, because meron tayong mga one-time use SIM cards kung saan nangihingi ng ransom,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
etc. And itatapon lang basta-basta
Yeah.
afterwards. I guess there are a lot of different kinds of mobile phone related scams. Nandiyan po
Mm-hmm.
yung mga phishing messages. Ito po yung text message based scams. This is
Mm-hmm.
the fraudulent practice of sending text messages purporting to be from reputable companies in
Mm-hmm.
order to induce individuals to reveal personal information. And then there's also email phishing, and then there's phishing. Yung email phishing, syempre ito po naman yung email scams, and then yung phishing, this is the fraudulent practice of making phone calls or leaving
Yeah.
voice messages purporting to be from reputable companies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, yun po.
Okay. Have you been able to document these incidents? Have you been able to file any cases against these people who are engaging in these scams?
Yung Cybercrime o Investigation and Coordinating Center is an attached agency of the ICT, receives various phone-related scam. For example, ito nga po yung mga online scams related to GCash. The callers were
Okay.
advised to formally file a complaint doon po sa website para po magkaroon ng resolution pertaining to the incident.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And kaya nga po, this is an interagency task force because we work with law enforcement agencies like NBI and the
Uh-huh.
Philippine National Police to make sure na yung mga crimes at scams po natin um, magkaroon po ng resolution. And I think this is the beauty and the purpose of the law, to
Mm-hmm.
ensure and ascertain accountability in our government system.
Okay. Ano pa ba? What I see a question here. What message can you give to those who are opposing the SIM registration and tagging it as anti-poor? You
Again,
say.
ito po ay ginagawa po namin para sa ating mga kababayan.
Mhm.
Wala pong exempted dito. In fact, mayaman o mahirap, kailangan po nilang mag-register ng kanilang mga SIM card. A lot of people are saying it's anti-poor because of access at because wala pong valid IDs. But we have pinababa na po natin to. We have sa implementing rules and regulations, kasama po dyan yung NBI clearance, yung police clearance, pati na po yung mga barangay issued IDs na may litrato. So,
Uh-huh.
ito po ay ginagawa natin para po protektahan kayo, para
Mhm.
kung ma-scam po kayo dito po sa mga sa text message, we will be able to ascertain kung sino po yung culprit. Dati po kasi, even if we had all the evidences, we had
Yeah.
no way of
Mhm.
tracing kung
Yeah,
sino
that's
po
right.
yung may-ari ng SIM card. Kasi nga po, after nila gamitin yung SIM card, itatapon lang po and then wala na. So, this will be a game changer for the law enforcement agencies because finally, we would have a law that would be able to know kung kanino po talaga yung
Uh-huh.
SIM card na yun. And I guess ito nga pong certainty of arrest.
Okay. Um, do you see that there will be a repeat of this 3 day SIM registration nationwide? Will this be in later
Yes,
months?
yes, ito po ay pilot areas lang po. In fact, next week, meron na naman pong next set of areas that the government will be targeting. And
Mm-hmm.
then sa susunod po, we will keep on releasing new information pertaining to the SIM registration law on a daily basis up until the April 26 deadline. Again,
Mhm.
the first 15 locations are just pilot areas, and
Okay.
as we go by, we will be issuing more.
Mhm.
We to be honest, this is also a learning experience for us. We
Yep.
want to be able to improve the system. So
Uh-huh.
siguro po, bigyan niyo po kami ng konting palugit to
Mm.
ensure that we were able to improve dito po sa rollout ng SIM registration sa remote areas.
Okay.
If I
Ano
just may
yung
share, good
Yes, go
morning.
ahead, Miss Cathy.
It's like Anime, you mentioning those pilot areas. It is also have been a learning process. All this morning we've been very busy and been able to set up. Happy to report that we've been able to set up in all those 5 areas. Nagsimula na kami doon sa Pascuin. Doon nagsimula no, as early as 7:30. We got it set up in about 45 minutes in Ilocos Norte and Buwal-Buwal, Cebu, Palo Leyte, doon sa aming municipal gym doon, and yun sa Pangantukan Bukidnon at Malalag, Davao del Sur. And the experience is that it's been a smooth process so far. And I think it's because of that coordination that I was telling Anne earlier, and that yung whole of nation approach natin, ano, natulong-tulong tayo because we couldn't have gotten there to that venue because it's a remote area. And we're hoping to replicate this in day 2 and 3 in the pilot areas stated earlier, all those 15 areas, and look forward to more in the coming week.
Okay. What
Yeah,
is the
thank you very
Yes,
much.
go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you very much for the help. In fact, we've been working very closely with Smart and other
Uh-huh.
telco providers and ensuring that we're able to reach yung ating mong far-flung areas. This has always been a team effort. Um, if you go to Sinulog, you will have seen yung info drive pertaining to SIM registration. I also went to Iloilo for Dinagyang
Tinagyan.
Festival,
Uh,
and the SIM registration rollout is also there. So we're really taking advantage of all possible avenues so that the public knows about the SIM registration process.
Share ko lang yun sa Sinulog because and I wish I could show photos, ano, we did set up booths there, and a very big booth. In fact, it was so visible to everybody who was taking part. But the more interesting part is we've been able to set up a fast lane, quote
mm,
unquote, for our senior citizens, persons with disabilities, those with special needs, those with 2G, 3G phones needing help. Kasi nga, they're also
yeah.
SIM-enabled. So we've created that inclusivity built into these booths. And that is the same kind of setup that we're hoping to do in all these remote areas, because we know that the sort of demographic that we'll be facing in these remote areas are those needing help, either because hindi sila techie or because
Mhm.
meron silang low-tech phone. That's fine. As long as it's SIM-enabled, it has to be registered.
Okay. So what
In
is
fact,
the Yes, ma'am. Go
we're
ahead, ma'am.
inviting
Sorry.
all our media friends to go with us in Kalumpit, Bulacan tomorrow. So,
Mm-hmm.
DICT, DOJ, DILG, NBI, and our telco providers will all be in Kalumpit, Bulacan tomorrow to show our media friends how it is done, and so that
Okay.
we can properly educate other people in the registration process.
Okay.
And our
So
smart leaders are going to be there, Anne
yes,
and Anne
I
Marie and Anna May. We are going to be well represented there by our sales representatives. So tabayanan na lang.
Perfect.
that's good. What is
Thank
your
you.
target for the 3 days? How many SIMs do you hope to register?
Ang daily target naman po
Yeah.
natin is national. So ang
Uh-huh.
daily target po natin is about 1 million per day.
1 million a day. Okay.
Yes.
Do you think we will be able to meet the April 26 deadline? Or do we need to
Um,
extend it?
we're hopeful.
Uh-huh.
DICT has the prerogative to extend it for another 120 days.
Okay.
But we're not yet looking at it. We want to be able to finish the SIM registration process within the 180 initial period provided for by law. We feel that the sooner we're able to implement the SIM registration process, the sooner we can implement the law. So, kami po, hindi pa po namin tinitingnan itong 120-day extension. I guess it's a
Okay.
matter of whether, um, di ba?
Okay. Since we're all medyo matagal-tagal na po yung discussion, can I just ask for your parting message to our audience? Yusek? You can go ahead.
Again, let me take this opportunity to remind um, everyone that the deadline of the SIM registration is already in April 26. And
Okay.
we're hoping that everyone registers their SIM card beforehand and that we're able to finish the entire SIM registration process by April 26. Allow me also na uh, magbigay ng babala doon sa mga tao na gustong
Mhm.
manamantala doon sa ating sistema na
Mhm.
bawal pong mag-submit ng pekeng ID, ng pekeng pangalan, ng pekeng documents. At kung hindi man po namin kayo mahuli during the
Mhm.
initial phase of registration, we will uh, find you in the
Mhm.
post-verification system. In fact, kanina po hinihingi sa amin yung guidelines for the post-verification system. But
Aha,
ito po
aha.
ay i-release natin once we're done with the SIM registration process. Pero
Ah,
doon po
okay.
sa mga may balak, mameke ng kanilang identity o i-register yung kanilang SIM card sa kanilang kapitbahay, for example, yan po ay pinagbabawal sa batas at hindi lang po yan multa, may kasama po yung kulong. So again, we're very serious. The government is very serious about this. Huhulihin po namin kayo. That's the reason why NBI, PNP, AFP has been on board on the SIM registration process since day one
Mhm,
dahil po
mhm.
dito. So thank you very much again to Business Mirror for having me. And again, I apologize for coming in a little late.
No worries,
Just
Jose. That's work related. No worries yan. Miss Cathy, can I ask for your parting message?
Yes, nagpapasalamat kami ng husto sa ating mga government partners. Kasama na riyan ang DICT. USEC Anime, thank you so much for your support along with NTC, with DILG, and the Interagency Committee managing the SIM registration process. We've been able to reach leaps and bounds, if you will. Yun nga, yung nasabi ko kanina, no, and yung aming velocity of the new registrants per day, pumalo
Yes.
na between 400 to 500,000 per day. So
Aha, aha.
nakakatulong kami dahil na-optimize yung aming plataforma, pero hindi kami makakatulong sa pagproseso ng mga SIM registrations kung walang tulong ng ating subscribers. Kaya hinihimo ko ang lahat na magpa-register na kayo, mag-register na kayo ngayon, wag nang paabutin sa April 26 at dahil alam
Yes.
naman natin may mga last minute dyan,
Correct,
pero baka
correct.
lang makaenkwentro kayo ng deactivation because yan ang magaganap kapag hindi kayo nagpa-register. So let's do this together and take yun nga, tinatawag nating whole of nation approach. And the last
Yes.
piece of the puzzle is the subscriber who's now listening to us on this live stream. So go and register and protect yourself and your loved ones. Go and register your SIM right now.
Okay, thank you so much. Audience, stay put muna kayo. I have a question for you so you can win a prize, okay? Just say goodbye to our two very lovely guests and I hope to see you again soon and hope you can and good luck on the SIM registration po. Thank you so much,
Thank you so
Yusek
much,
Anime.
Anne.
Thank you, Miss
thank you,
Kathy. Goodbye.
thank
Thank
you
you,
very much,
Sec Anne.
Anne, Kathy.
Thank
Thank
you
you very
very
Bye-bye.
much.
much. Thank you. Audience, here is my question para you can get the chance to win 2 overnight stay at Hotel 101. O, ready na ba kayo? Okay, my question is, what does SIM mean? Anong ibig sabihin ng SIM? Okay, so type your answer dito sa comments tuloy, comment section. We will compile everything and then we will do a raffle later, okay? So while we're waiting for all of you to uh, in your answer, if you have any guests that you would like us to interview, a topic that you want us to tackle in the coffee club, please also message us, or you can also add it here in the comment section, and we'll find a way to schedule that topic or that person you want featured here in Coffee Club. Okay. So again, thank you so much for your participation. Thank you so much for your questions. I hope this was a very fruitful section for all of you, and it was also a very fruitful session for me. So can we do it na? Marami pa yata pumapasok, no, Ed? Sige, let's give them more time. While we're waiting, I'd like to thank again Miss Cathy Yang of PLDT for joining us this morning. Thank you to DICT USEC Anime Lamentillo for joining us as well. And we hope for the best for this SIM registration that they're doing in the next 3 days. And they'll be moving on to other areas of the country. Just watch out for them and watch out for the FB page in DICT and of the telcos so that you can know where you can register your SIM if you haven't done so yet. Okay, so let's do this, Ed. Ang daming entries Yung isa dyan, sana manalo ka. Kilala ko yan Yung maraming entries dyan, let's do it na. I think we already have gathered enough. No. Sorry, I had to wait for all of them to talk before I do this. Konti pa lang. Sige, so I will make daldal pa. Baka meron gusto mag-comment dyan kung anong gusto nilang topic for the next coffee club session. Let us know, We're lining up something very special for you guys because we'll be turning 18 this year. So watch out for it, mukhang madami na, Ed. Kaya na ba? Ilabas na natin yung ating Ayan, yan ang sagot. Na ibig sabihin ng SIM is Subscriber Identity Module. And we will be giving away 2 overnight stay for 2 at Hotel 101. And our first winner is, congratulations to Danilo Peralta. Congratulations, Danilo Peralta. Please wait for our colleague to get in touch with you. Don't worry, nasa amin na yung GC. You won't wait too long for it. Okay, and our next winner is, congratulations to, nako, muntik na. Oy, si Mags! Congratulations, Mags! Yay, congratulations! Once again, this has been Ann Ruth de la Cruz from Business Mirror's Coffee Club, and we hope to see you again soon. Good day, everyone. Bye. Have a great lunch.